So I'm back working on this collage that I started, and with this particular collage, I'm using a lot of the same images. I didn't get new images, but I want to kind of take you to some new places that perhaps we didn't get to when we did the first video. So in the video so far, I have a couple of dolphins. Each is a layer that I can move, and I've made sure that these little guys are sitting behind the sand. I think uh, in another sample I did, I made the dolphins look like they were actually in front of the sand, and to do that it would be as simple as moving the layer. You can see I just moved the dolphin from behind the sand to in front of the sand. So you can move things around, shift things around as you like. We talked about opacity and how we can make some of our images appear a little bit more see-through, if you want to say, transparent. When I change the transparency, you can see some of the sand behind him. I'm not sure if I want to do that yet, but for the moment, I think I'm going to leave it like this. I'll keep one dolphin here, one dolphin here. This is all just for fun, so it really doesn't matter what I decide to do. I have some more pictures that I have not brought into my collage yet, so let me go to video. Let me go to PAMC Cook. I will go to block 1, Mrs. Cook, my pictures, and collage. And you can see these are all the pictures that I picked out for this collage. And so far I've included the bird, I've included the sea turtle, the dolphin. I have not included these cute little fighter fish yet. I might go ahead and open up the fighter fish, include them. They'll be, I say them because I'm already envisioning this to be more than just one fish. This is my quick selection tool. Nothing gets better than the select subject option in the options bar. Clicking that, and this fish is ready to go. Now, that may not always happen. If you recall, when we were working on the bird had the rope behind it. We had to do a little work to get that bird exactly the way we wanted. And of course, there's going to be times in the future when we're working with pictures that will be a whole lot more difficult. But for the moment, we're working with some simple images, and I hope you're working with some simple images. Typically, it's not too difficult to just click select subject. So this is taking a bit of time, but any second now I suspect he'll be ready. And I know it's hard to see in these videos, but what I'm looking for are these flashing little lines that you see going around the fish. We call those the marching ants. And like I said, I know it's hard to see in the video. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Maybe if I zoom in, you can see that better. But those flashing little lines tell me that he's ready to go. So all I have to do is go up to my move tool, click on my move tool, bring the arrow back to the fish, left click my mouse, start dragging that fish. You can see him pulling away from the black. I have to make sure I'm touching the tab where my collage is. Once I'm there, I don't let go. I just bring it back into the collage now. And now when I let go, I've got this cute little fighting fish. Since I'm finished with the fighting fish, I'm going to click the X. It's really important that when you click out of those things, sometimes it will ask you if you want to save. Always say no. You want that photo to stay exactly the way it was when you opened it, because you might want to use it in the future. So we're not saving anything that we do to these images. We're simply taking what we want and bringing them into our work. So now I have this fighting fish. I will go to edit. I will go to transform. I will go to scale. He's a little big right now, so I want to make him smaller. You can see now that he is surrounded by this bounding box, and all I have to do is pick a corner and I can make him a little smaller, and I can move him around. If I even want to rotate him, if I go to the edit, and if I go to free transform, now you see I have an arrow that's going around him. I could move him in a direction. Maybe I want to move him this way. Maybe I want to move him that way. Maybe I don't want to move him at all. Maybe I want him going straight across. But that gives you another option as well. You click the check, and now you've just committed yourself to that change. Now, do I want a transparency on him? Probably. So I'll go to the opacity over here, and I will just sort of play with that a little bit. I don't want it to be too light. I don't necessarily want him to blend in completely. I want to see him. So I might do like a 90%. I think I'm going to make a copy of him. Whoops, go to edit, go to copy, go to edit, go to paste. Again, this gets easier when we're working in school, because once you're working on the actual computers and you're not working on remote PC anymore, you can begin using shortcuts. And shortcuts certainly make everything a little bit easier and faster. I'm going to hit transform, I'm going to hit scale, and I'm going to make this little guy a little bit smaller, so it's like they're kind of flying. And I might even want more, but I'll stop here. I don't want to have too many. My turtle right now, I think, needs to be a little bit more transparent. So I'm going to check out the transparency on him and just take it a little lighter. Okay. Let's see what other pictures I have. I know one thing that I want to include. I'm not sure if this particular sample has the jellyfish in it yet. Like I said, I've done quite a few samples here. The reason I'm doing this second version is because I want to show you a few extra things. So I just clicked on something called the lasso tool, and I'm kind of creating an interesting shape here around this, so that instead of it being a perfect rectangle, it's just slightly weirdly shaped now. And so I'm going to carry that up to my collage, and I'll bring it back in. And again, I think I might rotate this. So if I go to edit, and I go to transform, and I go to rotate, now I can just turn this maybe the other way. So now maybe my jellyfish are moving in this direction. I'm gonna kind of move this over here. I'm getting very busy here. I'm gonna click the check mark, go to edit, go to transform, go to scale. I use scale a lot, and again, it is much easier when I don't have to go to the menu all the time. But for now, I think this is actually good for us to learn it this way, because you get to realize where things are. So it looks like right now he's covering everything. My jellyfish they're just covering everything. So if I go to my opacity and I just tone that down a bit, I can still see the jellyfish, but they're sort of faded in the background. The one thing I do think I would like to see is I would like to see a switch between my turtle and my jellyfish. I want that turtle to show a little more. He wasn't showing very well. I'm not sure what other images I have in here that need to be brought in. I'd say that I could probably just stop at this point. I might go ahead and add, let's say, the pearls. And of course, they're going to be a very simple thing to bring in. I hit my selection tool. I hit select subject. That's going to come out extremely easily. I will switch over to the move tool, drag. Make sure you're dragging to your work. I forgot to close the jellyfish picture before, so I don't want my pearl to show up there. Right now the pearl looks like it's behind the sand. It's also a little big. It's going to have to get a little smaller, even though it would be very cool to see a large pearl like that. So I'll go to edit. I'll go to scale. Scale it back a bit. And with this pearl being here, I want it to be, like you can see where it is. I want it to be over the sand, so I'm gonna raise it above the sand. So now it looks like my pearl is sitting right there in the sand. So for now, I'm not gonna do too much else to this. I'm gonna start showing you what I would call the finishing touches. So I've already adjusted opacity in places and made changes, but there's things that I can do that you might not be aware of. Like we talked about text before, and I don't really think I was able to get into it very much. So what I've just done is I've clicked this T. Now I do have options. You can have horizontal type, vertical type mask tools, horizontal type mask tools. We're going to start with just horizontal type. And when I do this, you can see that at the top, that tells me the font, Myriad Pro, regular, and it's set for 12 point. Now when I go to create my space for this, if I make a large box like this, it puts font in there for me, okay? And sometimes that can be helpful and sometimes that cannot be helpful. It's helpful because it shows you exactly what the size is of the font and what it would look like in terms of size and what you've selected, but it's not very helpful otherwise, because you do have to get rid of it. So I've highlighted that whole area and I'm going to replace it with I am really a sea creature, just a mammal, and I'm probably spelling this wrong, that lost its fins. Okay, can't see it at all. So now I get to go into it, and again I'm going to highlight the whole thing, and it's time to make it bigger. So I'm gonna try maybe a 36 point, see how that goes. Okay, 36 seems pretty good. Maybe 48. I think I'll stick with the 48. Okay, a couple things that I notice. I notice that the fish is in front of the font. Well, I don't want the fish in front of the font. I want the font in front of the fish. So I will slide the font to the top. And typically, the last thing you add is the thing that shows up. So it's kind of odd that it's showing up kind of in the middle here, but it doesn't really matter because I have complete control over everything. So I have this little saying here. I'm going to double click on it because I don't necessarily like that lettering. So now that I've double clicked on it, the text tool opens and I can see that I have lots and lots of options as to what kind of letters I want to use. Now right now I can't see the letters, so that's not very helpful. So what I think I'll do instead is I'll go to Window and I'll go to Character. Now I have the menu, but the menu's over here. It's not in my way. I'm going to carry it over there. And now I'm going to select letters that I want to use. And now I can actually see them. I can scroll through. I can be like, ooh, what do I like? And that's why sometimes using Photoshop can be so much fun, because I mean, I can just sit here and scroll through until I find letters that are just perfect for... I'm a script person. I love script. I know that they don't teach that anymore in elementary school. They don't, they pretty much stick to printing, but I love letters that have some type of a flow to them. So I'm sitting here being creative right now because honestly I don't know what it is that I want. And you can see that my options go on and on. Like, it doesn't seem like there's any end to my options. This is kind of an interesting option, a little too playful though. Little too hard. There's something about this that I like. I'm not really sure what, but I do like it. And of course that is supposed to say mammal, not mama. Couple more things. I need to enlarge my space so that I can see the entire quote. Maybe I want this to be... Oops, I'm going to pull this out again. 2 lines, so I can do that. Maybe I want this to be more of a paragraph that would be centered, so I could certainly do that. As for my characters, I can adjust those as well. I can make them further apart. I can make them closer together. So there's lots and lots that I can do. I'm gonna stick with this for a second. Now the only other thing I don't like right now is the color. I don't think the color is standing out enough for me. So instead of black, I'm going to try white. I think white works better, so I'll keep it with white. The letters themselves, I'm going to add a little bit of depth to them by clicking on this. I have text selected here. Down here at the bottom you're going to see this tiny little box. It says FX. FX actually stands for effects, the effects that you can get with various things. And this is not just for lettering. I can use this for anything, but for now I'm going to start by using it with my lettering. And I'm going to add a drop shadow to the letters. I'll move this out of the way so that I can see what I'm achieving. And you can play with not only the color of your drop shadow, you can adjust the angle of your drop shadow, you can adjust the thickness of your drop shadow. You can see how thick my drop shadow is getting now in my picture. It is actually, it's starting to move away from the letters. I don't want it to necessarily move away. The size can get much bigger. And so there's all of these things that you can do. I can hit OK, or I can continue to look at other options. Perhaps I'm interested in an outer glow. Maybe instead of that outer glow being black, it would be white, as it is here. And there's lots of ways that this outer glow can look. It probably would help to increase the size of it so that I can see what it's doing. Check the opacity. If the opacity is low, you might not see it at all. Oh, and now I can see it perfectly well. I was trying to get it so that you could at least see it. And so I have it set back at normal. I'm playing with the opacity a little bit. You can see there's that white behind it now. And I have it set at precise. Before it was set on softer. And I kind of like the softer, so I'll stick with softer. You can see I have a pretty wide spread on it, and I kind of like that, so I'm going to leave it at that. I have a drop shadow and I have that outer glow. Now, believe it or not, that drop shadow can be used elsewhere. Maybe the sand needs a drop shadow. If I think the sand needs a drop shadow, I will go to drop shadow. Again, I'll move this out of my way. You can already see the drop shadow. Do you see where the darkness is kind of showing up behind the sand there? So I'm already adding that. If I want to keep it, I might not keep it. Maybe I need it just to be a lot softer. And so I can adjust, make things bigger, make things smaller, make the spread bigger, smaller. Now the blend mode is set at multiply right now. If I hit normal, I might see a more clear view of what a drop shadow is doing. I might want to again go for a outer glow. Okay, when I do that, you can see now there's some white showing up back there. Okay, it looks a little bit harsh at the moment. I would probably want to bring that in a little bit. Play with various options that I have to change it. When you work with the noise gives you sort of a dotted effect. If you have a lot of noise to your blend or your layer style, you're going to see tiny little dots. And I know it's hard for you guys to see this, but there are definite changes that are taking place. Okay, so the other place I definitely think I want a drop shadow is my pearl here. I want my pearl to stand out. So I'm going to give it a drop shadow so that it sort of pulls away a little bit from the sand. It's kind of like the one little piece of this that I want to stand out. All right, my bird, I might just bring him down a little bit. So you would think I was done, and I could be done. In fact, I'm going to go to File right now, and I'm going to hit, well, let me just see what I have it saved as. Okay, I have it saved as version 5, so I'm just going to hit Save. So basically, I can say, yes, I'm done with my collage. And that would be perfectly fine if you wanted to do that. But I wanted to show you that if you like adding more to your work and trying new things, this is where you could get into, say, some adjustments. And these adjustments would take place to the entire thing. So you know we've worked with a variety of things before. We've worked with brightness and contrast. We've worked with levels. We've worked, well, levels, if you don't recall, is when we adjust the darks and the lights. You can see if I bring the darks in, my colors change. You can see how like really crisp everything is getting right now when I do that. So I've made a change to this that I may like, I may not like. It's kind of up to me. I like trying new things, so I'm going to just let it, I'll keep it. Where I really wanted to take you though was to hue and saturation. Channel mixer is actually a good option as well, but hue and saturation is where I can completely transform this now. So assume you've saved this. In fact, maybe I'm saving it one more time. I'm going to hit save as, and now this is going to be version 6 because I'm an artist, and artists like to have lots and lots of variations of their work. And then they like to go back and see like what did I really like the best. Okay, so now watch what's going to happen. Okay, I have it set for master. I'm on hue saturation. I'm all of a sudden going to change the colors of the entire thing. Okay, the entire thing changes. Okay, and they change pretty radically. Now, maybe I want to change colors, but I want to limit it to only certain colors. Maybe I want to work with the reds and see what happens if I only alter the reds. And I can change those reds to purples, to yellows, to greens. So I can change single colors, or I can change all colors. Now, cyan, which is just another type of a blue, is a very, very dominant color in this particular design. So if I choose cyan and I start to adjust, I'm going to see some major changes happening. Okay, you can see now my dolphins are turning green, and the skies are looking, just things are looking very, very different. So if you like to play, this is one way that you can play with your work and try different things and see how they look. Another way that you can play is to go to filter. And when you go to filter, you can go to filter gallery. And when you go to the filter gallery, you're going to see, soon you're going to see your work of art. Okay, well that didn't work, so just ignore that. I'm not quite sure why that did not work. Oh, I know why it didn't work. Here's the reason it didn't work. Alright, so I've got this image, and let us just pretend that I'm happy with this image and I don't want to change it anymore. Okay, so again, just hit save, make sure you've got it, okay, because now what you're going to do is you're going to take layer and you are going to go down to where it says flatten image. Okay, now you won't be able to change this version anymore, so you are probably going to want to rename this one version 6. So I'm going to flatten the entire image. So all those layers that I had before, if you look now, there's only one, and it says background, which means if I save this now as version 6, this one is not going to, or maybe I'll call it 7. This one is not going to be changeable. Okay, I won't be able to go back to this version and do anything with what I've already done. But here's what I can do. I can go to my filter, I can go to my filter gallery, and now I'm looking at a picture, basically, a single picture. And I do want to kind of zoom out on this a little bit, and and like I said, my shortcuts are not working, and so that sort of makes things a little bit tough since I can't use my shortcuts to make this smaller. There we go. You have to bear with me because some of this I'm just getting into myself. Okay, so here's my image. Now there's lots of filters I can try. If I click artistic and I click cutout, I get something that looks like this. If I click dry brush, I get something that looks like that. Film grain, fresco. Now I'm not making any adjustments to any of these yet. I'm just sort of randomly going through them to see what they do. Okay, this one is called palette knife. This one is called plastic wrap. This one's actually kind of cool looking. Poster edges, rough pastels, underpainting. And this is just the artistic panel. There's also brush strokes, there's distort, there's sketch, there's stylize, there's texture. There was something about plastic wrap that caught my eye. So notice if I go to plastic wrap and I adjust it, it also makes changes. The lower my highlight strength, the less you see anything. The higher, you almost get a bubbly feel to what you're looking at. I can adjust the detail, how much detail I see, and you can adjust it in the other direction. And so I love playing with some of these features that Photoshop offers. I mean, everything I do here changes it in a completely random way. And when I see something I like, I save it. If I don't see anything I like, I can cancel and move on to the next thing. But I think I will, I'm going to stick with this one. I kind of like it. It has a very unique look to it. So I can hit OK, and now I've changed this, and now you see there's even more texture to it than there was before. And if I want to go back one more time and I want to adjust my colors, if I want to completely transform this design, I can. I could have 20 versions of this single collage, okay, just by using all of the various options that I have. There's something about that green and violet that I really like. So I'm going to stick with this. It's different, but that's the kind of thing that catches my eye, things that are different. And so I'll save this one last time. And this I might want to save as a JPEG. Okay, so I'll call it version 8, but I'm going to make sure this time I save it as a JPEG because this one's just really more for fun. Oops. Make sure the 8 is there. Not sure why it doesn't want to save with the 8, but I'm going to save. Hit save. Hit OK. And so that collage that I started out with looks nothing like what I see now. But again, you can see how you can just completely transform things. So the things that I worked with included filters, but keep in mind for the filter to work, you pretty much have to be done, and you have to be saying to yourself, okay, I'm done. There's nothing else I want to do. I'm going to flatten this image, because once you flatten it, that is what you have. Okay, you have a flat. You are sticking with that image, but I still have the other versions, so it's okay. I can always make changes to those if I want to. All right, so this is my fun version, and I would say that if you want to create a fun version, consider taking some of these extra steps to see what you can do with your collage. All right, have a great day.